So last time we met, we looked at statement 5 on chapter 6. Yeah? Statement 5, chapter 6. And there's so much in that statement. I think we can divide it into 3 parts in terms of understanding that. I think the statement itself brings the first point that we need to understand, which is literally what it is saying. The guru who does not possess the characteristics cannot produce the qualities. And more specifically here, we're not talking about qualities and characteristics in general. We are talking about Mahamudra realization. If the person does not have Mahamudra realization, then you cannot count on that person accidentally or deliberately leading anyone to Mahamudra realization. I think that's the first most obvious meaning of this statement. Chodra's commentary, which is the main commentary we have in this book, he wants to emphasize the importance of carefully selecting one's guru. And that is, you could say, well, that is the logical consequence of what the statement is saying. But he also makes the point that part of why you have to carefully select your guru, not just because of what is stated in that statement, but also, he says, and if you have already connected to someone as a guru, and that's a key point. If you did not really connect to that person as a guru in the Vajrayana sense of guru or Mahamudra sense of guru, then it's a different matter. There are still issues, but the matter here is like if you have at first related to someone as guru in the sense of like, for even a short time, you perceive this person as perfect, as pure, as Buddha-like, and all of that. Then later you find faults in this person. There, Chodra says, it doesn't matter. Even if this person turns out to be Hitler, you have already damaged your progress on the path. Chodra says that, He said so, and he said that to make that point. Therefore, be very careful who you go consider to be a guru, and therefore to be Buddha-like, and then later change your mind. Then in the Sobish commentary, where he draws from Rinjangma and Dorshema, we are given a much more detailed discussion on the many more different layers, of these issues here. So basically, that's statement 6.5. 6.6. It is certain that the only means of cultivating realization is devotion. Again, here, the realization is not talking about, generally realization. It's talking about realization of nature of mind. So the counter idea is people claim that the means through which realization arises is uncertain and can be one of several different ones. So the statement is made in response to some who says, oh, you can realize Mahamudra, you can realize nature of mind through your own efforts, through this, through that, through, and more so, I think here, it's those who say, oh, you can realize Mahamudra by kind of analyzing texts in one case. Here it says, no, you can't realize Mahamudra that way. Then there are those who say, oh, you can realize Mahamudra through doing the 6 yogas of Naropa, controlling your breath, using these profound methods of redirecting energy, causing the winds to dissolve into the central channel, and blah, 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 all of that. Also, Kyopa says, no, you also cannot do that. So you cannot realize it through intellectual elaborations. You cannot realize it through using yogic forceful techniques to try to manipulate realization to arise. He says no. So these are the two main, by what other means, like is uncertain or can be one of several different ones. Basically, those are the positions that some other people have. That you can study texts, and if you study enough texts, if you rationalize and compare this and that long enough, then you will realize Mahamudra. It says doesn't happen that way. Or again, using yogic techniques, controlling breath, redirecting energy, this, that, or all sorts of like yogic practices, also no. Here he says, only through devotion. Now, Sobish tells us, on the concept of faith, see note 539. So here, because the commentary says, Chodra says, if there is no faith in the mental continuum of the disciple, meaning if there's no faith in the disciple's heart, mental continuum is a very technical term, it sounds so scientific or whatever. Basically, if there's no faith in the heart of the disciple, the qualities will not arise, even if the guru possessed the characteristics. See, in the last statement, right, the weight is placed on the guru, I would say. To me, it's a reminder to those who carry the title of teachers, those who wear the hat of teachers, don't you go around thinking, you don't need to work on yourself and you can help others. Not possible. Here, I would say the weight is leaning on the direction of disciples. That you need to have devotion. If you don't have devotion, if you don't have faith, even if your guru has qualities of realization, it won't work. You see, these two statements are two sides of the same coin. You cannot read one statement without reading the next statement. They work together. So finally, right, we learn from elsewhere, Kyopa Rinpoche says, it's really the interdependence of guru with realization of nature of mind, student with devotion or faith. And that devotion or faith, you could say, where does it come from? It doesn't fall from the sky. It's the result of having merit. So then when these two come together, then realizing nature of mind is possible. By the way, footnote, realizing nature of mind is first step, or is one of the crucial steps. Here in the Mahamudra tradition, when we say realize nature of mind, it's not full state of Buddha. It's an important step. Then you have to habituate. You have to habituate this realization, because the initial realization might even be as brief as like the snap of a finger. You caught it, sort of like catch a glimpse, so to say. In the Zen tradition, they call it jianxing, kensho in Japanese pronunciation. Kensho is that brief enlightenment experience, brief, kind of like a flash in the dark of the night, and you see, right? You momentarily see your nature, but then the lightning is over, then the skies are dark again. But on the basis of having seen this flash, this kensho, this having seen your own nature, then you habituate. Way back, remember we talked about when I used this Zen tradition to talk about how there is the possibilities of sudden and gradual, and practice and realization. All right, when you put all four together, you have possibilities of how to, or these two, sudden and gradual on the one hand, practice and realization on the other hand. The combination can give rise to four positions. So among the four, I would say the Mahamudra tradition is more of sudden realization or enlightenment, you can say, followed by gradual practice. So when we talk about realizing nature of mind, recognizing nature of mind, that's that, well, it doesn't always have to be just brief, but at least that brief. So for some, it's a flash of lightning. For some, maybe, a very powerful light for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, like the light of a stadium suddenly turning on for even half an hour. But the point is, it's not stable. Whether it's a snap of a finger or 5 minutes or 5 hours, it will get turned off. Then you're left in the dark again. But having seen that, whether it's a snap of a finger length time or 5 hours, on that basis, you can now practice to habituate on the one hand, having what you have seen, and then let the other things fall away, fall away, fall away, fall away. So that the practice is no longer adding anything. It's actually letting confusion fall away, fall away, fall away, fall away. Oh, and how can it be that way? Because confusion has no basis. Definition of confusion is that it's a mistake. So it falls away, falls away, falls away, falls away. So anyway, long footnote, but important footnote. When we talk about this realizing nature of mind, we're not saying this person is Buddha. Okay? But it's an important point along the path. Okay, now, if there's no faith in the heart of the disciple, then the qualities of realization will not arise in the disciple, even if the guru actually possess those characteristics. Now, so Sobish says, look at footnote 539. So I'm going to go there and read to you what he has to say there. We have not looked at that chapter yet, but eventually we'll get there. Wait, devotion, yeah. And so 539, it says, faith or shraddha in Sanskrit is a problematic term, meaning it's not so easy because, in part, that word has a lot of different religious connotations. And so when we hear the word faith, we have our own baggage. Then even if we didn't have that baggage, the word itself, the notion itself, shraddha, in India, also has many shades of meaning. So simply because that word is used, it doesn't mean that we are all using the word in the same way. So it's problematic. So anyway, it's a problematic term insofar as it is of central importance in the Christian religion. So that's the baggage. It's a problematic term for Westerners. and increasingly even for people in Asia, because many of the elites in Asia, social elites in Asia, are educated in Christian education, the convents, uh, the Catholic brothers and the schools. It's not even that these schools are indoctrinating necessarily, but it's the whole kind of structure of thinking. So when I was in Bhutan, my Bhutanese friends, about my age, maybe even a little bit older, a little bit younger, and they're like, oh yeah, we all went to Catholic schools. And so they're like, and they admit, they're like, our thinking is like fundamentally like very Christian, even though we are not Christians, we practice Buddhism. And so one woman said, yeah, all I do with Buddhism. So she was coming to try to learn more. She said, all I do with Buddhism is, I go when there is like puja, like going to church, then I give 10% of my annual income to the monastery. This is what I learned in Catholic school. She said, I do that, She said, that's all I know. So many, kind of social elites in Asia were educated in this. So the framework is already there. So basically, yeah, that footnote is not talking about explaining any Buddhist notion. It is emphasizing how, especially in the West, this word, faith, whenever it turns up in the Buddhist text, we have to pause and say, wait, how is it similar? How is it different from the Christian idea? So it says here, the Oxford American Dictionary defines it in the Christian context as, quote, strong belief in God or the doctrines of a religion based on spiritual apprehension rather than proof, unquote. Although there is certainly a lot more to faith in Christian religion, one might boil it down to one central idea of faith, namely to the belief in the enigma of Jesus dying for our sins. Specifically, Romans chapter 3, verse 25. Whoever faithfully believes this is considered to be saved. As also expressed in the above definition of the Oxford American Dictionary, the central point seems to be that the believer accepts this act of God as the truth. One might also refer to John chapter 20, verse 30, quote, Jesus is the Messiah, the Son of God, and that by believing you may have life in his name, unquote, which focuses on the belief that God reveals himself in Jesus Christ. And Sobish says, I owe this latter interpretation of faith to blah, 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 somebody. In Buddhism, faith does not exclude analysis and investigation, but instead is often based on them. So in Buddhism, the faith that we're talking about has to begin with analysis. So we might call it reasoned faith. He says that in the general understanding of faith in the West, faith is basically, at the end of the day, willing to accept the mysterious nature of how God works. To be fair, I think somewhere along the way, you can say sometimes, even as a Buddhist, you have to kind of say, I trust the workings of karma. But that trust of workings of karma, as in sometimes you cannot see exactly how karma, the principles of karma is working right now, but you trust it, again, not based on some enigmatic thing or some mysterious reason, but having seen with reason, with understanding, and with knowledge. So that is very much emphasized. Yeah. So anyway, now Kalachakra Tantra. coming back to the commentary. One does not attain Buddhahood in this life by making offerings to the three supreme jewels throughout all the eons of the three times and by saving the lives of 10 million beings. So first we have to understand, saving the lives of 10 million beings is very, 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 and then very good. Making offerings to the three jewels throughout the eons of the three times is very, 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 and then very good. But even that is insufficient. If with a yearning mind you please the Guru, who is an ocean of qualities, the supreme and common siddhis will certainly be attained in this life. Now, I would say, how can this yearning mind, which is directed towards the Guru, who is an ocean of qualities, how can this yearning mind come? It would come from the merit of having made offerings to the three jewels throughout all eons of the three times and saving the lives of 10 million beings. In other words, right, the positive actions of all these positive, the positive effect of all these positive actions, you could use them, you could cash them, so to say, for having a good life, for having a good vacation, for having a good job, for having a good blah, 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 having good kids, having good stuff in samsara. Or you could cash all this credit that you have accumulated to develop a yearning mind, a devotion mind towards a guru with the qualities, not just any guru, not charlatan guru, but the guru with qualities. So 552, Maitreya Nata says, the absolute truth of the self-arisen ones is to be realized through faith. Those without eyes do not see the blazing light of the sun disk. So then faith or devotion, defined in Buddhist ways, is that eye. The great Drikungpa, Kyopa Rinpoche, says, if one does not cultivate the notion of Dharmakaya concerning the Guru, the great Mahavajradhara, one may chatter about realization of the nature of mind, but will only embarrass oneself and the former gurus, the lineages, and the lineage gurus. Cultivate the notion of Dharmakaya concerning the Guru. That means to be able to see the Guru as Dharmakaya. And this is not, again, a kind of mechanistic way of seeing the Guru as Dharmakaya, but through devotion, being able to see the Guru as Dharmakaya. And you have to cultivate that. Cultivate means, at first, not necessarily at the beginning, not necessarily easy. Cultivate. Tilopa said, Naropa, who has obtained the dharani of not forgetting, has pleased me for 12 years. This is emphasizing Naropa's serving of his teacher. And during these 12 years, there are lots of the stories of the 12 years and 12 trials of Naropa, meaning Tilopa, put a lot of tests, hardships onto Naropa's path and to see how Naropa would fare. And Naropa successfully passed the test. The passing of the test is not just a matter of passing the test. The passing of the test is actually Tilopa's skillful designing of a program, right, to purify Naropa's mind. Because of these and other teachings, we hold that among the means of producing realization, devotion is the principal one. Devotion is the main one. Questions, comments before we look at Sobish's notes, which is quite extensive. It's very helpful. Just first impressions on what have been said so far.
Well, this is Joan asking probably an ignorant question, but could you define devotion? I have a teacher who's in Nepal and Bhutan. I'll probably never see him physically again. I include him in all my prayers and visualize him. I don't know what else to do. He said a long time ago in the 2008 or 10 that of course I should have other teachers, which I am doing, especially with you right now. What else can I do for devotion?
Nothing else. Don't worry.
Okay.
Just practice.
Okay. I have tears in my eyes. I just, okay.
Yeah. So remember his kindness. Meditate on him as the Dharmakaya. That is devotion. Yeah. Instead of giving you, textbook definition. We gave you and everyone what it is not, meaning because of our Judeo-Christian baggage, we got to be careful of that baggage. Here, in terms of what to do, yes, remember his kindness, meditate on him as Dharmakaya, meaning the absolute state of being awake. And that is, the devotion that you need to cultivate. In some ways, not having this guru around is a lot easier to meditate on him as Buddha.
Thank you. Thank you.
When you see the guru too much, eventually, maybe guru's fault, who knows? But definitely our negative karma will turn up to derail us. You start finding fault. So Milarepa said to his disciples, or was it Marpa? Either Marpa or Milarepa, but it's in connection to Milarepa and Marpa. It says you should live 3 valleys away from your guru. Three valleys. At least 3 valleys away. That's a good advice, because then elsewhere they say, right? You have to relate to the guru like fire in a cold night. If you're too far, you don't get the benefit of the warmth. If you're too close, you will get burned. Well, now, an authentic guru will not try to burn you. So forget about, laying aside, like problematic gurus. But even with an authentic guru, it says, don't get too close. It's not that the guru will burn you, but you will get burned.
you can't take it.
right? You can't take it. Yeah, then you get burned.
Dr. Lai,
Yes.
your comments about faith were very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
For me, a little at a time, you see statements and positions and worldviews in the teaching,
Mm-hmm.
and you analyze them and see for yourself whether they are true or not.
Yes.
For me, and then what happens? There's still a lot I don't understand, but the
Yes.
parts that I can see and understand, I've developed conviction that they're true.
Yes.
So for me, the idea of faith in Buddhism is more based on analysis and my own observations of what is
Yes.
true and what is not.
Right. Right. Yeah.
The other
Absolutely.
thing I had a lot of trouble understanding, well, why is a devotion to a guru so critical? But I realized also that if you see the guru as a Buddha and you are determined to satisfy and please the guru,
Mm-hmm.
essentially you are devoting yourself to Buddha. You are to the qualities and the ideals in the teaching. So the devotion to
Right.
the guru also implies that you are devoted to fulfilling the precepts and the principles that you're learning that come from Buddha.
Right. And the necessary sacrifices that we have to make to achieve those qualities. So the role of the guru, especially in Vajrayana and Mahamudra, is an element that you deliberately bring, right? Remember, like all these, right? I said everything Buddha gave are tools, right? So even this is a tool of training. Now you well, it sounds like I'm contradicting the statement now, but I'm trying to say more generally, not in the context of Mahamudra realization, which is really what the statement is mainly about, right? But secondarily, we can still learn something from it. So for example, if you have a more abstract idea, if you don't adopt the guru as a point of training, can you still train? Yes, of course. Then you train in a more abstract way of like, I'm dedicated to enlightenment. I'm dedicated to purifying my obscurations. I'm dedicated to magnifying or actualizing the qualities, right? Then you can still train that way. Right? And if you're very conscientious, you will see, when situations arise, how you're doing that. But if you want to adopt the Vajrayana and Mahamudra method of relating to a guru, then what you have in the person of the guru is almost like you can say a much more immediate reference point to see, am I really dedicated to, actualizing the qualities and purifying and getting rid of the obscurations? Because it's now, right? You not just go to the temple and be inspired by a very well-made Buddha image that will stir you to like, oh man, these qualities, I really want to achieve. But now you go to the temple and that statue is talking to you and saying, you should not continue to give in to that particular habit. And it's like, oh, I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that. I came here to be inspired, not to be lectured. And that's very, human, really. So that's why 3 valleys away is good. Right? You only come when you're ready to be told, you should stop this or that habit. So you have to, if you are 3 valleys away, you can kind of decide, maybe once every 2 months, I'm going to go visit and put the test to see if I can handle or not. Then you go back 3 valleys away. But if you stay away for too long, remember, you're going to lose the warmth. So you have to come back. And so that's why elsewhere, right, it says disciples have to request teachings. Not just the formal way of like, oh, can you teach me this? Can you teach me that? As in, it's left to the disciple. So that is also part of, you take responsibility of how much heat you can handle in that kitchen. So the primary one cannot be the guru chasing students around. Hello, come meet with me, But the students can initiate. Can I meet with you? But of course, then once you relate to that person that way, you also need to know if the person doesn't answer you, that is one kind of answer. And you have to learn how to understand what that answer is. Now, if you have devotion, right? Silence from the guru is different from silence from a jilted lover. If you don't have devotion, then all kinds of things, Oh, he doesn't like me. Oh, other people must have been saying things about me. And so he has this wrong idea about me, blah, 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 all that. Then it's gone. Then he has turned into a samsaric affair. So, Milarepa Marpa, 3 valleys away. Other questions here and comments?
I have a question.
Uh-huh.
The Maitreya paragraph.
Uh-huh.
It's I don't know. I have a hard time understanding Maitreya. It seems very theistic.
Go ahead.
It reminds me of Catholic faith.
Uh-huh.
Even the metaphor of the blind not being able to see the light.
Mm-hmm.
It feels very Christian. I have a hard time.
It's the language of devotion, But then if you understand that faith comes from where? We already said that. Faith comes from where?
Analysis.
Aha. Comes from analysis. The way that Larry was talking about, that is a very, not from the textbook, from his own experience. He said, I don't know. I don't understand. But then, right, I start to analyze, I start to see, and I see, well, yes. Then conviction arises. Conviction. And I would say, if you really talk to Christians, they can also tell you, at the beginning, it's blind. Their starting point maybe is more blind. And the Buddhist starting point emphasizes analysis and conviction. But I'm sure there will be Christians who will say, but it arises at some point from conviction. That they have seen the results of having that kind of faith. And so they have a conviction. Yeah, I will footnote that. That's a side point. The main point here, we're not so much concerned about the ins and outs of Christian faith. It's simply pointing out this faith here is not. You see how he is going. Maitreya Natha's statement here is juxtaposing between faith and seeing. Often faith is faith in that which you cannot see. That's why we say have faith in the Western sense, actually in the Western sense, when you say have faith, right? Almost always is used in the context of, I don't know what the hell is going on. I'm going to give up. Then we say, keep the faith. Right? But here, in fact, Maitreya is saying, those without eyes do not see the blazing light of the sun disk. Without sight. So faith is sight. And so maybe faith, again, is not a very good English word, even if it communicates, or even if, it's a literal translation of Shraddha. I would use the word conviction.
Okay.
To be realized through conviction. So every time you see the word faith in Buddhist material, try substituting it with conviction. Because conviction for us goes through a process that is more similar to the Shraddha that Buddhism is talking about, and less the God-based system of faith. God-based system of faith requires a lot more kind of trusting without knowing. Conviction arises, the process of arriving at conviction emphasizes more through experience, through consideration, through analysis, through reflection. Obviously, there are overlapping areas between Christian faith and Buddhist faith, right? I mean, after all, no accident that it's the same word, or the same word is used to translate. But so again, like in our trying to distinguish between the older baggage that we have and the new baggage that we're taking on, we are also not saying that they're absolutely, unrelated. But they are related. But here, the emphasis is more in the direction that this has to come from some kind of reason. So if conviction is, you don't want to use the word, then every time you see the word faith, you have to use reasoned faith.
Okay, that helps. So
Yeah.
I can substitute the word eyes for conviction.
No, faith.
Yeah.
Conviction. Eyes is just eyes. Those without eyes do not see. I mean, that's just an analogy. I mean, literally. If you don't have eyes, you cannot see.
Okay.
And then if you have eyes that are faulty, you see wrong things. So that has to be clear, The eyes have to be clear, not afflicted, not damaged.
Yeah.
Those without eyes do not see.
Okay.
Meaning, even if the meaning of this here is obviously line 3 and 4 is the metaphor. Line 1 and 2 is really what it's talking about, right? So 3 and 4 is, and if you just look at 3 and 4, it's saying, if you don't have eyes, you know, you could be standing right next to the blazing sun. You won't see it. Likewise, if you don't have conviction, right, the absolute truth could stare you in the face and you have no idea what you're looking at. You're like, what? What do you mean?
Yeah.
Then in the context of the guru, Buddha Shakyamuni could be right in front of you. And you still, I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'd like to say something on that subject.
Okay.
For me, there's parts of the teachings which I have conviction because I understand and I've seen with my own eyes. So I have that kind of belief. And there are many other things which I don't understand, which I'm looking for, trying to evaluate. But for me, it started with a very simple thing. Like when I first read anything about Buddhism, it said, hey, the world is constantly changing. There's nothing permanent in this world. And then you look around and you see the truth of it, that even on a microscopic level or an astronomical level, that statement, I developed conviction. And it's the only teaching that spiritually that I ever saw that said, hey, this is the way things are. So on something very basic, I was persuaded and I have conviction in the truth of that part of the teaching.
Right.
And then you move to another important thing. Say, hey, you're going to die. Do you know anyone who's 200 years old? Look around. You are going to grow old and die. And everyone else is too. And you look around and you say, hey, that's true. The teaching is true, telling me the truth on this. So you start to have an open mind about the things you don't understand, and maybe they're true, maybe they're not. But the teachings established for me that they had truth in them from the beginning on things that I could see. So you start to develop more and more faith and conviction.
Yes.
That you're being told the truth. You may not understand it. You may not believe all of it at once, but piece by piece, it's something you can see with your own eyes, the truth of it. So for me, I like your substitution. I have conviction in certain things in the teachings. I just have a rock solid conviction that these things are true. Other things I don't understand, or I don't understand the language or my concepts, you know, some
like
of it becomes
3 trillion gods, you know, arriving to carry the horse of Siddhartha.
So there's fairy tales, you know, but the challenge is to find the truth in the fairy tale. Okay.
Yes.
Like when the king said to Siddhartha, I cannot grant you eternal life. I cannot grant you that you're not going to get old and get sick and you're going to die. I cannot give that to you. Even the king, no matter how powerful he is, cannot give these things. To me, that's the crux of it right there.
Right.
So that's my comment.
Thank you for that. Sobish provides a lot of good notes, but in case, you know, you're like, I want to know more. 556 at the very end, I call your attention to that. So 555 first. In the Dorshema, so if you want to summarize, you know, all that we've been talking about, that's a beautiful 3 things a guru needs to have. An authentic guru. Now, inauthentic guru in this context doesn't mean charlatan. There is charlatan, there is half qualified guru, and then fully qualified. Fully qualified, these three. He needs to possess three dharmas. Through great discriminative knowledge, he's able to be a guide for others. So he or she needs to have knowledge about the subject, about the dharma subject. Then he can guide others. Then through compassion, great compassion, he's able to bear the suffering of others. Meaning he can be patient with others. He might be very clear in his head about dharma, but if he cannot put up with, the constant demands, so he doesn't have great compassion, then he, effectively cannot help you. Okay. Third, he does not have even the slightest concern for this life. The disciple, on the other hand, then needs also three qualities. Since they are without pride, they are very respectful. Since they are happy with whatever the guru instructs, they will conform to the guru's wishes. Since, and then they give their life to please the guru. And when those two, the teacher with those three qualities and the students with those three qualities actually meet, then when we talk a lot about blessings, then the actual blessings we need from the guru are these three. Having understood death and impermanence, the disciple comes to resolve concerning this life's actual concerns. He understands the original state of all phenomena, the dependent origination of cause and result. And third, out of true altruistic motivation, he cultivates bodhicitta. All the blessings that we talk about, give me blessings, give me blessings, give me blessings, give me empowerment, this and that. Basically, these are the three. In terms of pleasing the guru, we should be reasonable about this, or my commentary. It means, at the very least, and then don't do too much, but don't, meaning, right? Don't please the guru in the wrong way. To please the guru here means make it easier for the guru to instruct you, to guide you. That's the meaning, I would say. If the guru has a lot of demands for things, and you please that, in this degenerate age, you end up destroying the guru. My own commentary. You end up destroying the guru. So we should understand here, to conform to the guru's wishes and to please the guru. So the guru's definition of a guru is a guide to awakening. So then the wish of the guru is that you wake up. So you need to conform to that wish. To please the guru, what pleases the guru? able to guide and lead you. So don't create difficulties there. Don't be stubborn there. Don't displease your guru in that area. Then through interdependence, more and more, the guru manifests the qualities of Buddha more and more for you to see. And it's also because you are purifying your obscurations and you can see more and more. Then yes, there is a point where you can totally please and conform the guru in whatever he or she wants or asks for, and there will be no problem. Because it's like being with Shakyamuni. No harm will ever come. But that, it's not so easy at the beginning. At the beginning, don't do that. I have seen how students destroy gurus by being too literal about these. This is my commentary. You can take it, you can leave it. You can listen to someone else who have an opposite opinion. Here, I want to say, for the students, how to conform to the guru's wishes and how to please the guru. Please the guru by figuring out how to help the guru be a guru to others. So if you can facilitate that, that truly pleases the guru. The guru's activity to be helpful, because the guru currently, like no matter who, right, it's limited in their ability. So people support the Dalai Lama, people support His Holiness. You have to support them to make their role as guru more effective, more pervasive. So in Kyoba Rinpoche's time, first of all, you have to practice well. And when you practice well, you become stronger and stronger in your practice. Then Kyoba Rinpoche send them away and say, you go to this area, you go to that area, you go to that area. Sometimes he sends them to other teachers and say, you go study with this person, then you come back. Different students kind of have different needs and also different potentialities. That's the meaning of pleasing the guru. We end here. You can, it's good to read ahead, like the sections that we're going to cover, so that it won't be the first time you're looking at it when we talk about it. Yeah. So next time we meet on Wednesday, we will be looking at the notes of point 6, chapter 6, point number 6, the notes that Sobish provides us. Chanju Semcho Rinpoche Ma Ge Ba Nam Ge Gyuji Ge Ba Nyam Ba Me Ba Ya Gong Ne Gong Du Bel War Shu. Tata.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Hasta luego, gracias.
Thank you.
Thank you.